fraud, imposter, incompetent. This is a shocking set of feelings among many public figures. Presenting in public is very different from what the person is feeling internally at the time. We have all learned how to be really good at masking in public, but how we might be feeling internally could be drastically different from that. Have you ever had that sinking feeling that you're about to be found out, that the house of cards around you is going to crumble? 58 to 70% of people surveyed about their mental health in employment state that they feel strong feelings of imposter syndrome. Hi, my name is Ahi. I'm a psychotherapist based in central London, and I'm going to talk with you today about imposter syndrome. Did you know that between 58 and 70% of employees surveyed about mental health reported feeling like frauds and imposters in their work? And despite this shocking prevalence, a staggering 94% of this group have never discussed these feelings at work. The main reasons they tend to give are that embarrassment, the fear of being seen as less competent, stops them, of not being believed, of not being taken seriously, of having their preoccupations brushed aside. The experience is disproportionately higher among women and younger employees, as well as members of the LGBTQ+ community. And this immediately alerts us to the social and societal aspect of this phenomenon. So what is imposter syndrome? While it's not an official diagnosis, it is nonetheless an observable pattern of psychological phenomena that can best be described in simplistic terms as chronic self-doubt, specifically when it comes to one's own capabilities and accomplishments. From there on out, it starts to get a bit more complex and intertwined with other phenomena such as self-esteem, conditioned beliefs and values, gender, age, sexuality, socioeconomic background, family and childhood experiences, hypercritical parenting, etc. So we might ask, how does this show up in a person's life, both internally in their psyche and externally in their behavior? Well, internally, the person is likely to have an inner system of beliefs, such as waiting to be found out, thinking that they're not as capable as others think them to be, that it is only a matter of time before others realize this, and then their entire house of cards will come tumbling down. They tell themselves that everything they have accomplished is accidental, not through their own efforts, and that they don't possibly deserve any of it. So they often fear that they will be fired, and then they catastrophize further into the impact that that will have on their life and all of the things that they will lose. So for example, home, partner, family, security, stability, future, etc. It really is quite a painful and punishing narrative. And what is notable in this is the extreme way of thinking. I say this because in reality, anything we accomplish is always a combination of our own efforts, the help and support of others around us, and the grace of life meeting our efforts halfway and things working out. So there's always some element of balance between these things. But in this instance, the person will attribute all or most of their accomplishments to external sources and factors or to chance. Externally, their behavior is likely to manifest in working harder and longer, or in reality taking a lot longer to accomplish tasks, to make up for their perceived incapability.
Harley Therapy, the UK's leading experts in therapy and mental health care, right here in London or online.
Procrastinating, which reinforces the beliefs above, and then driving themselves harder as punishment and to make up for their perceived poor performance. All of this can also result in burnout because of these working practices. You can find them limiting themselves, undermining themselves, and keeping themselves small at work, all of which continue to reinforce the painful internal processes. So what can be done about this rather crippling syndrome? In the world of psychology and psychotherapy, we know that underlying issues are the origins of these systems of belief, and that addressing those systems of belief is what ultimately shifts the internal paradigm in a fundamental and lasting way. And so therefore in therapy we use a variety of techniques to manage both the immediacy of the symptoms as well as working on the deeper root causes. Some of the techniques we use are, for example, reality checking, through examining what evidence there is for and against any belief we hold, thereby starting to introduce reason into our thoughts and analyze how valid and verifiable they are. As part of that process, we look at reframing situations to examine them from a variety of different perspectives rather than purely from an internally critical and diminishing perspective. And as part of that work, we rebuild an internal catalog of positive self-regard through repeated reinforcement, whereby the person can start to experience and learn the skill of internalizing and assimilating positive feedback, and more importantly, holding on to it. Someone once likened that to saying that imagine that you have internal shelving, and when someone makes a compliment, gives you a compliment, it's like they're handing you an object that you're supposed to be putting on the shelving that you have internally. But someone with imposter syndrome doesn't have much of that shelving. So someone hands them a compliment, an object, they take the object, put it inside them, and it just falls to the ground and shatters. So that's the imagery associated with the struggle to hold on to positive feedback. While these are quiet and subtle things that happen in the course of therapy, their impact is accumulative, and ultimately it leads to a rewriting of the internal script that has become damaging, to a rebuilding of the shelving I mentioned before. I'd like to leave you with some final thoughts today. This phenomenon is a learned one that can be unlearned in order to return a person to a state of balanced, positive regard, which is the hallmark of a healthy and well-adjusted psyche. If what I've spoken about today resonates with you, know that help is available and that you don't have to work through these patterns alone. In fact, because they tend to be entrenched within the psyche, and often at a pre-verbal and precognitive level, it is quite hard work to work on them alone. I work with clients both in person in London as well as online through Harley Therapy, so please do feel free to reach out.